Hi there guys, welcome to my channel, The Remnant. If you're new, welcome. And if you have seen my video before, then welcome back. So thank you for joining me. So basically, what we basically do here is, what I basically do here is Bible study. It's a one-sided Bible study. We just read the Word of God and just enjoy ourselves, enjoying enjoying the Word and also the presence of God. Basically, whatever He reveals to me, if it pertains to you, great. If it's just you want to understand more about the Bible and also just the fantastic Word of God, like the clarity about it, then take a listen and I'll reveal some stuff, or he will reveal some stuff that is gonna just blow your mind, if it hasn't already. The other part is so this is a part two from of David and Saul. God is absolutely amazing. The way he works is truly magnificent. If you take a bird's eye view of how he works, you will find that he is just excellent in his ways. But we are not, so sometimes we mess it up. But he's excellent at what he does. Okay, so we were at Samuel. We were talking about Saul and David, and how Saul basically was still chasing, or was decided he wasn't going to chase after David anymore, because David kind of reproved him. Looking at the right one. Yes, all right. Here we go. So what is important to understand here, and I said this in the first part, is that Saul was not forsaken. He was actually not. He was actually not rejected by God. Isn't that amazing? And I'm going to, and you're going to see why, because. Okay, so it's First Samuel. We read chapter 27, okay, up until 28, and now we're going to continue with 28 up until 29. And basically, I'm just going to explain in between what certain passages or statements or verses rather, that is being said here, and how it paints such a interesting picture of this whole situation, because in this verse, no, I actually believe that we have read 28, but we can read it again. It's fine. Just a quick recap. Saul basically was vulnerable, because David, while everyone was sleeping, David came in and he basically told Saul that. Well, didn't tell Saul, but he basically took Saul's cruse of water and he took his spear. Now, I explained what the cruse of water is in the previous one, so if you would like to know, then just check out the previous one. And the spear, which is also explained in the previous one. Okay. Then Saul inquired. Long story. Saul no longer seek David because David reproved Saul. So Saul then fell in he repented basically, and or rather he acknowledged his sin. Now, it's one thing to acknowledge it, it's another thing to repent of it. And he didn't repent, but he acknowledged it. He acknowledged that he was in the wrong for trying to kill David, and that David did him no wrong. So David eventually escaped through to the Philistines. He kept on running, not knowing that Saul was not chasing him anymore. Kept on running, and then he came to this king Achish, and befriended this king Achish, and started to pretend to serve him. Now this is, this is going to some. I'm going to read the whole thing, and you're going to be very surprised, because I was, on how God is just magnificent in His doing. So much so, or excellent in His doing, so much so that you don't figure out. I haven't heard anyone else figure this out. So maybe they have. Fantastic, but yeah, this blew my mind. So so basically, it says here 28, chapter 28, verse 1, and it came to pass in those days that the Philistines gathered their armies together for warfare to fight with Israel. And Achish said unto David, Know thou assuredly that thou shalt go out with me to battle, thou and thy men. Okay? And David said to Achish, Surely thou shalt know what thy servant can do. And Achish said to David, Therefore will I make thee keeper of mine head forever. So not only because David was under the favor of God, not only did he have favor with Saul when he reproved him, but he also had favor with the enemy, which was the Philistines, which was Achish, the king. So David was in a very, very good position, and earned, basically, he earned in the enemy's camp, he earned their trust. It reveals that God can use anyone. Okay, He can use from the most meager to the most authoritative. He can use people that are your enemies. He can use people that are your friends. But He's very much unpredictable. And this is a tough thing for us, because we are sort of, we want to know. We want to understand. And God is someone that we cannot comprehend. He is God. He is uncomprehendable. So we can only go according to what He reveals to us. And this is, in this word, He reveals a hidden love. Now this in itself is across the Bible, that God has hidden love that He could not reveal to man too soon, because they wouldn't. How can I put it? I don't know if I could put it as they wouldn't get it, but it's potent, okay? And it needs. And God is, He loves His timing. His timing is the best. So this hidden love is across the Bible, and it's love that God held back for a time like this. Okay, so He did not reject Saul, but here's an interesting part. What happened? So we're carrying on from verse 2. And David said to Achish, Surely thou shalt know what thy servant can do. And Achish said to David, Therefore will I make thee keeper of mine head forever. Now Samuel was dead, and all Israel had lamented him, and buried him in Ramah, even in his own city. And Saul had put away those that had familiar spirits and wizards out of the land. Okay. And the Philistines gathered themselves together, and came and pitched in Shunem. And Saul gathered all Israel together, and they pitched in Gilboa. And when Saul saw the host of the Philistines, he was afraid, and his heart greatly trembled. Okay, so he was terrified. And Saul inquired of the Lord. The Lord answered him not, neither by dreams, nor Urim, nor by prophets. Okay. So what we can understand there is that God did not reject him. Because I questioned this, and this was revealed to me, because I questioned this about God. Is if He is faithful, why would He reject Saul? But He did not. Actually, He actually just did not answer, did not respond. And I explained this in the previous one as well. So then Saul seeked the help of a witch. Then said Saul unto his servant, Seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit, that I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servants said to him, Behold, there is a woman that hath a familiar spirit at Endor. Okay, stay with me. And Saul disguised himself and put on other raiment, and he went, and two men with him. And they came to the woman by night, And he said, I pray thee, divine unto me by the familiar spirit, and bring me him up, whom I shall name unto thee. Okay? And the woman said unto him, Behold, thou knowest that what Saul hath done, how he hath cut off those that have familiar spirits, and the wizards out of the land. Wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life, to cause me to die? So she was afraid that Saul was trying to trap her and basically to catch her out. So she didn't want to do it because she said, no, there's a decree and we're not allowed to do it. And this is what Saul said. And Saul swore to her by the Lord. And this is a terrible thing is Saul went, not only tried to go over God's head by seeking a familiar spirit, but he also used God's name to protect or preserve this person that was working in wickedness. Now, it's not that the person was wicked, because the person was quite kind to Saul, but the person was working in wickedness, which was not what not how God not what God preserves. Okay. Um, and the woman said unto him, Behold, thou knowest what. Okay. And he said, and Saul, we at verse 10, and Saul sware to her by the Lord, saying, As the Lord liveth, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing. Then said the woman, Whom shall I bring up unto thee? And he said, Bring me up Samuel. And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spake to Saul, saying, Why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul. And the king said unto her, Be not afraid, for what sawest thou? And the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. And he said unto her, What form is he of? And she said, An old man cometh up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel. And he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed himself. Okay, so now Saul is inquiring of Samuel. He's trying to, or in his discomfort, in his, sometimes we can be in a rush, and this is why God says, do not be anxious for anything. That we can go and make moves because our ways are not excellent. God's ways is excellent. But then when we rush before God could answer, or when we are not satisfied with God's answer, that's when we make mistakes like this, where Saul not only he started dabbling in witchcraft, which is what God finds as an abomination, but also he brought in Samuel and contacted Samuel through it, where Samuel then said to him, and Samuel said to Saul, Why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines make war against me, and God is departed from me, and answereth me no more. Now here's a very interesting thing. Saul said that God has departed from him. God didn't say it. So not only was he now going down a path which is leading him to his fate, he's expediting his demise, and also forsaking God, because he has now, in his believes that because God didn't answer, that means he's forsaken. So this is coming from Saul, but God did not forsake him. Then he said, then said Samuel, Wherefore then dost thou ask of me, seeing the Lord is departed from thee, and is become thine enemy? Now this is also interesting part, is Samuel did not know, or it was not, revealed to him that God did not forsake Saul. So because Saul was under the wrong impression, he gave the wrong information, and this distressed him even further, because now Samuel, he was just following, he was being with a right heart before God, and saying, look, if God says you're forsaken, there's nothing I can do. So, and this furthered his demise, or furthered his fate to his demise. And this is where it happened. And the Lord hath done to him. Okay, yeah, 16. Then said Samuel, Wherefore then dost thou ask of me, seeing the Lord is departed from thee, and is become thine enemy? And the Lord hath done to him as he hath spake by me. For the Lord hath rent the kingdom out of thine hand, and given it to thy neighbor, even to David. Because thou obeyedest not the voice of the Lord, nor executest his fierce wrath upon Amalek, therefore hath the Lord done this thing unto thee this day. Okay? He's done a thing. Okay? God is doing, it's like a punishment. God is chastising him. Because God didn't depart from him. He departed from God. Moreover, the Lord will also deliver Israel with thee into the hand of the Philistines, and tomorrow shalt thou and thy son be with me. The Lord also shall deliver the host of Israel into the hand of the Philistines. Now here's the interesting thing. God never said this to Saul. He said this to Samuel. Because Saul tried to jump, or rather tried to overrule God's authority by going to Samuel, this kindled God's anger, and further now the punishment instead. Now sometimes this is what we do, is God will give us a punishment, or He give us a delay, or He'll give us some sort of trial, and then what we will do is we will try and we will go through it, but we because the enemy is so sly, and because the enemy is so versatile, and we don't fully comprehend what the enemy can do, he can make you to prolong your season, your delay, by letting you turn to quicker options, because you don't see the results in your time, and because you see the pressure. If you're in pressure, it's very easy to wait on it while everything's going fine. But where the real faith comes and the real substance comes is when things are not fine, and you wait, knowing full well you're about to go over a cliff, but you still trust in God, you still walk with God, you still inquire of Him, even though He doesn't answer you, you still give Him praise and still give Him glory. Not an easy feat. It's really for strong-willed individuals. You really need to be in relationship with God to get to this, because it's not for the faint of heart. So anyway, that is when his fate was decided. Now just to go a bit deeper here, David was on the other side. He was on the other side of the Philistines. And if you can look at the full picture here, Saul was on one side, David was on the other. But David didn't know that Saul was on the other side. All he knew was that the Philistines, or maybe he did know, and the plan may have been to say, okay, we're gonna crush them. We're gonna crush them one on the other side. And here's why I believe that is the case. Is because at chapter 29, 1 Samuel 29, it talks about David marches with the Philistines, but is rejected by the princes. The initial plan was not that David would be rejected, because David could have been rejected at any time. But because of Saul's disobedience in carrying on, you see how the chain reaction can cause problems for ourselves? That's why it's best to wait on God and wait on His time. Because the plan initially was for Saul and for David, when they go into clash with, if Saul would have accepted his fate, or accepted God's response and said, even though you don't respond to me, I'm still going to walk with you. And David, they would have, and here you can see, God gave in the Philistine wisdom to say, listen, these two are dangerous together, because David can kill 10,000, Saul can kill 1,000. So anyway, thank you so much for listening. I'm going to leave it at that. My time. Okay, so yeah, so basically, as I was saying, sorry about that. Um, Timer ran out. Okay, so basically, David had he was on the one side, and Saul was on the other. Had Saul been a little bit patient, had he waited on God, God would have surprised him. And this is one of the reasons why God was quiet. I believe that he was quiet because God had it sorted. So sometimes we will ask God for something or inquire of him, and when he remains silent, we often take it as, okay, he's just ignoring me, or we often take it as, frustration, because, things are happening now. But we serve a God that he's not affected by time. He's not affected by situations. On the boat with his disciples, he slept while there was heavy waves that was washing over. I bet the waves had to probably be very, because maybe they understood also that, this is God. We better no. But the point I'm trying to make is that God slept in such a dire situation. He slept because he's in full control. And he was in full control in this situation with Saul. He did not forsake Saul. So sometimes we think that we are unredeemable. No, quite the opposite. The further you are, as in unredeemable that you might think, the stronger he can use you and bring you out, because it's like you present him with an opportunity to show you how powerful he is. The problem is that we have a society that's very much based on convenience, quick, fast, ready. And we have not learned to be patient. It's very difficult, especially now. If my pizza is late, or if my delivery is late, I get upset. But Saul had this problem, and if we bring it back to the Bible, Saul had this problem before as well. When Samuel said to him, "Wait on me in 7 days or so," I believe it's 7 days, I'm going to bring you, I'm going to come and I'm going to show you how to do the offering. And 7 days came past, and Samuel didn't show up. And then Saul took it upon himself to do the offering. And unfortunately, he did it wrong, which was not pleasing to God, because Samuel came and said, "You fool," or "You foolish one," or something like that. So Saul was actually in no danger, and God was setting up David and Saul to come together, take down the Philistines, and then Saul, because he accepted David, would now have the opportunity to say, "David, now you take the mantle." And he could have they could have ended it off all on a good note. But unfortunately, Saul went and he rushed things. So what this reveals to me is, what is being revealed here, is that patience counts. That we don't understand what's happening on the other side, where you might think the enemy is. You don't know that God already placed someone there that is going to make sure that approval happens. Let's say you apply for a car, or you're applying for a house, or you're waiting on something regarding your debt, or maybe you're waiting on it's a health situation. when we lay our all before God, He can show us how He can do all. So very good example. Saul is a very good example of be patient. Don't go according to your time. Go according to God's time. Go according to Jesus' time. Because your results won't be the same. God's results will be beyond what you expect, because He's not only thinking about the situation now, He's thinking about after, when He does what He is about to do for you. He's thinking, what happens after that? When you're all comfortable, are you going to keep seeking me? Are you going to still believe in me? Are you going to turn away from me? And if that's not the case, then be patient. Then there's no need to rush. And I'm actually in that season where, I'm thinking to myself, okay, Lord, I'm waiting, and it's not easy, but it's something that you have to master. Understand, it's not easy because we grew up. Everyone grows up with a certain conditioning. And sometimes God needs to break down that conditioning. Sometimes He needs to add to that conditioning. And sometimes He needs to take away. Or, curve. But let Him do the molding. Okay? So this was a lovely reading. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for listening. And if you ever think or ever considered giving your life to God, giving your life to Christ in a serious manner, then I beg you, do so. Because literally there has not been, if you want, let me put it to you this way. You want to love someone that will never hurt you. You want to put your heart with someone that will never let you down. You want to give to someone that can not only handle what you give to them, but they can also reciprocate that in great measure and uplift you in ways that just will blow your mind. Jesus, He's been there since the beginning. When you didn't know Him, He knew who you are. And what a lot of the time we don't understand is that there's a plan. I'm maybe going to talk about this maybe on another video, but there's a plan in place for your life. God's following the plan that you guys discussed, but you maybe not, because you don't know the plan. So you don't know how far you're off or how close you back on track, but God does. So therefore, let Him lead you. Building a relationship with God is building yourself back up, because He knows you. If ever you need anything with regards to discovering what's happening in life, for a good example is, if you are you need advice with finances, you go to an accountant or financial advisor. But if you go and do it yourself, you might stumble, or you might have to take longer, because you don't have the experience nor the passion for that kind of occupation or work. God is our source of life, of creation, of all of existence. If you want answers, you got to seek Him. But remember, it's seeking Him, which means you're not just going to find Him just opening up the Bible and reading a few words. You got to keep on, so that He can reveal Himself to you in patience, so that He can teach you to not only be patient with yourself, but to be patient with Him. Because although He is a patient God, He is impatient when it comes to blessing His children. He's very impatient. He doesn't even take more than a day to bless. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying, and I'm going to make a video about this, I'm not saying that if he's going to bless you, he's going to bless you tomorrow. No, I'm saying that you have a divine alignment. Once you start walking with him, you are in divine alignment. But then you have a divine appointment. And that divine appointment is like what happened with Joseph. Joseph he was in divine alignment up until the point where he was in prison. And he kept the faith, he kept the belief, he kept the love. And then he reached his divine appointment, which was with the Pharaoh, where he came in with new garment, cleaned up everything, ready to go. And Pharaoh said, now you tell me about my dream. And he gave him the kingdom. And he gave him just a little bit lower. But he was set for life. So always understand, it is God's timing is better than our timing. If you get something too soon, you can hurt yourself, or you can find yourself in turmoil. Because a blessing received too soon is not a blessing, it's a curse. But if you receive it on God's time, fully satisfied. Maybe even further than that. But thank you so much for listening. Sorry for the whole rant. Not rant, the yapping. But thank you for listening. I hope you have a fantastic day. May God bless your day, your week, your month, and your year. And may God bless you and all that you do. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great one. All the best. Give your life to Jesus. Trust me, it's the best decision. You could say it's the best investment you are ever going to make. All right? All the best. Cheers. Bye.